Alright, so this next fight I have is with the Ghost League 4. They were playing as someone I think from Soul Eater or Fairy Tail. I haven't seen the show, so I wouldn't know. But I'm using my ground team, and he's obviously a Ghost Leader. I actually helped him make his Aegislash, so I knew what that was running. So that was always a little bit of a fun time. But so he's going to lead off with his Robin Root, his Decidueye. And Decidueye is a meme. I mean, let's be real here. I'm not going to criticize his Mon choice at all, but like Decidueye is eh. So I lead with Dougie because I can. Dougie's good, but I realize that Dougie isn't going to be that great in this fight outside of maybe trapping Aegislash and Gengar, so I'm perfectly willing to like let this happen. I don't think he realized that Ghost types can't really be trapped either, so Dougie's trapping ability, now that I mention it, really doesn't play much of a part into it, and that's also why I was kind of willing to let Dougie just do as much as possible first. So I make the mistake of going for a Sucker Punch there again. I should have probably Earthquaked, because I do end up losing my Dougie to this Mimikyu, which is unfortunate. But again, Dugtrio was not going to do much in this fight, except maybe deal stuff to Aegislash, and even then, that Aegislash is very physically defensive. So I go into my Hippo, and this Hippo is going to be really good to get some sand up for me, just to get some chip onto that Mimikyu. He's going to switch it out, though, and he's going to go right into this Jellicent that I also made back when I was a leader back in 2016. So I'm going to set up my rocks, and he's going to use my own Jellicent against me. You know, that's kind of fun always to see those old mons again. The name Daub actually means white in a language I can't remember because Jellicent was on my white team. But that's for a different story. Anyway, he's going to go for the Wisp here, which is a reasonable play. It's a little redundant, in my opinion, to have both Will-Wisp and Scald on this Ghost team, but then again, like, I mean, it's fine. I would have probably gone for have run Toxic on it, but it's whatever. So out comes the Decidueye from my Whirlwind, excuse me, and it's gonna just keep taking chip. This Hippo isn't gonna really be doing much outside of phasing now, just because it's burned, and the only attacking move I have on it is Earthquake. So I'm gonna go right into my Garchomp here, just for rough skin damage on his Leaf Blade. I believe it takes rough skin damage, but it does a lot more than I thought it was going to. And it does not take rough skin, so I was wrong. And I just go right for a Fire Fang here because I didn't know if Mega Chomp would be able to outspeed or not. I believe this is Mega Chomp. It should be. If it's not, it's Bandit. But anyway, that Decidueye goes down, and I'm really not in a great spot right here. Yeah, so, yeah. I'm just going to go for an Earthquake here, sack the Garchomp, because quite frankly, I probably should have kept it alive for Aegislash, but at that point, it was easier to do so than to sacrifice something else. So this Mimikyu, the disguise is busted, and it's going to go right for Swords Dance, which is a really good call on his part too, just because, like again, it's going to go for a Shadow Sneak here on this next turn to knock out my Garchomp, and it's sitting at a nice +2 with very little that can actually deal better priority and live. So I'm kind of in a tricky spot right now, and I'm not going to deny that I am definitely down right now, but I go into my Gastrodon, which is my physical defensive tank, more or less, and I'm just going to go right for, and he goes for the Never-Ending Nightmare. I forgot that Z-moves existed. I thought that he was running a different set on this Mimikyu for whatever reason, but Ghost Team Z Mimikyu is obviously the best Mimikyu to run. Hint, hint to me and my Ghost Team. Anyway, so Never-Ending Nightmare happens, and you get to see the cool animation of all the arms coming out and swallowing this Gastrodon, and it is going to nearly knock me out, but not quite. In hindsight, probably should have just gone for a Recover, but like again, I wasn't predicting the Z move for some dumb reason. I have a problem with that. Probably shouldn't do that in the future. But basically now, this Gastrodon is dead. And, well, he goes for a Shadow Claw here, which I guess is probably the right call if he predicted my switch. I guess. So the Sandstorm's gone. I'm going to go back into my Hippo and just try to Whirlwind this out here because I really, really, really don't want to deal with it. And, you know, I also really am trying to keep Excadrill alive as much as possible. You know, because Excadrill is going to be my win con here still. So I go for a Whirlwind onto the Mimikyu, and it gets sent out. So its setup is gone, and in comes Aegislash, in comes that Tsubaki. And basically now, this Hippo, I need it alive. I really do need it alive. So I'm going to go for a Slack Off here, just knowing because this Aegislash can't actually do much to me because all it knows are Shadows, Sneak, and Gyro Ball. and one other ghost move, but it can't do a ton of damage to me, so it's really good. Gyro Ball is not going to do much to me, if anything. Yeah, look at that. That did nothing at all. So that's really good. So again, he's going to go for the Shadow Sneak. I don't get that play much. I would have gone for a King Shield here, but I just decided to Whirlwind on the event that he decided to set up. And in comes the Jellison again. And that Jellison is a problem. It's a big problem. So I'm just sort of using Hippo to phase things around and stall out turns for as much as I can. I don't really like using stall at PPL, as I've said before, but at this point, like, I have to make a play at some point. I know, yes, this is a banded Excadrill, and it is always super risky set switching it in on a Scald because of the burn, and unfortunately for me, I do get burned. So that is incredibly unfortunate for me, but, you know, I also should have seen it coming, and that I do consider that partial misplay, partial hacks. It is what it is at this point. So I just go for an Excadrill. I am banded, but Jellison, this is going to do, like, crap to Jellison. That did nothing. So that Scald is going to knock me out. And at this point, I'm down to my Hippo and I'm down to my Landorus. So I can make stuff happen if I need to, but it's not looking good for me. I'm down, I think, what, 5-2, 4-2? Yeah, 5-2, because he hasn't even sent out, like, Sable yet. So I go into my Landorus Incarnate form, and at this point, I'm just sort of going for broke. I go for an Earth Power to start things off. I'm Life Orb Sheer Force, so that is going to knock out the Jellison, which is really, really good. I'm not sure if that was a roll. I don't think it was, so I'm not terribly worried. In comes the Sable here, and at this point, I'm just gonna attack it, because I don't have any physical moves. This is my special attacker. I don't know if he realized that, but going for the Wisp was probably a good call, just because that way I am taking chip. But I'm gonna go for Stab Earth Power again, and that is gonna just take out that Sableye, which is really, really nice, because I do believe that that was his Mega, and he just decided to get that priority burn. But in comes the Mimikyu, but here the joke's on him too, because I have Sludge Wave on this Landorus, but I am going to switch it out. Spoiler alert, I have Sludge Wave. And I go into my Hippo here, just on his potential Play Rough, Shadow Sneak, what have you, and in comes the Shadow Sneak. At this point, I'm using Hippo to sort of take hits as much as I can, and just, you know, phase things out if needed. And out comes a Play Rough. That's not going to do a ton to me, but it is going to put me in a weird range, so I'm just going to go for the Slack Off. I didn't want to risk anything, and risky plays when you're down can be good sometimes, but, like, in this situation, I didn't think it would be a good idea. So at this point, he's going to go for another Play Rough here, hopefully lowering my attack and somehow. I'm just going to Slack Off again, because I would really like to win this fight, and the fact that I'm just sort of recovering HP per turn is really good for me, because I've gained a ton of momentum just from using Landorus. So he's going to go for the Swords Dance here again, and I'm actually going to go for a Slack Off one more time. I don't care too much that he's at +2, because Hippo takes basically any hit that this Mimikyu wants to throw at me, but I can't do much in return to it, unless I want to go for an Earthquake, which would be kind of a poor decision. So I'm just gonna, oh, never mind, I spoke too soon. So I go for an Earthquake here, and that does actually knock it out. I thought it wouldn't. I thought for some reason it didn't. But Mimikyu goes down. It's all good, I'd say. I'm kind of back where I started before Mimikyu came out. And out comes the Gengar here. And this Gengar is like your standard Gengar. Thank God it doesn't have Levitate anymore, because that would have been really bad. It's going to go for a Shadow Ball here, and I should live this. No, I actually don't live this. Okay, that's not good. But at this point, I still know that I have a Landorus in the back, and I know that I can take at least one hit from whatever this thing wants to send out at me. And I'm thinking, alright, I need to hit Earth Power, I need to live that, and then I just need to crit Aegislash and I win. And that was what was going through my head. Yeah, I'm at 40, Earth Power will definitely knock out this Gengar. And so, I'm going for that, it's pretty good. And I'm like, alright, I just need a crit on Shield Form Aegislash, and I win. I think I just need to land it, and I win. But, as I realize, I made this thing to have Shadow Sneak. So, of course, Shadow Sneak is going to come out, and show just how good Aegislash is, and that Shadow Sneak is going to unfortunately knock me out with a crit that did not matter. So I do end up losing after a pretty nice comeback, which is, I guess, alright. It is a little unfortunate, but I do end up fighting this guy again. Really good Paladin, really good battler. He's gotten way better in the past few years, and yeah, stick around for more fights. Alright, so this is the second fight with that multi-battle elite. Since they were both taking challengers at the time, and they were doing more single battles, I decided to take him on. He's the dark type part of the group, so, and I'm using my electric team, showing off my electric team for the first time. Really like this team. It's I was actually going to apply as a leader with this team, so I'm really happy about it. So I'm going to lead off with my Golem, my Alola Golem, and he's going to lead off with his Cacturn. Now, I haven't seen Cacturn much in fights, so I'm not really sure what it would do, so I just go right for a Stealth Rock here. I was expecting some sort of spikes to come out, or some grass move, maybe. And sure enough, he's going to go for the Giga Drain here. Actually, it's funny too, the first fight that happened here, we actually got disconnected. So this is me sort of replaying all of the moves that I did and he did. I told him that he was welcome to do whatever moves he wanted to, but I was going to follow along exactly with what I had done. So I'm going to send in my Coco here, and already it's good, but he goes for a Venom Drench, and it's good, and he sort of predicted that based on what I did. So, you know what, it's whatever. I told him, so it's my own fault. So I just go right for a U-turn, and he's going to survive with his Focus Sash, which makes me think that he's definitely like running some sort of spikes or entry hazards or something. So I just go right into my Zapdos here, because Zapdos can deal with whatever this thing wants to throw at me. It doubly resists, or I don't even know what I'm talking about. It resists grass moves, that's what counts, and it's immune to spikes. So who cares? So I just sent it in. He's going to go for a Giga Drain. Probably a good call on his part. And at this point, I'm just going to go for a Heat Wave. And he goes for a Sucker Punch. And my Heat Wave is going to connect, and it's going to be able to knock this thing out. So right out of the gate, Cacturn is down. My Electric Terrain is up, so that's good. If I want to, I can send in my Alola Raichu, though Psychic against Dark isn't great. But he's going to send in his Godzilla, his Tyranitar, and at this point I'm just like, okay, this is going to be a rock move coming out. I can send in my Golem again just to see what he was going to do, and it'll be good. So I switch out here, and I go actually into my Rotom. Sorry, I misled you all. I lied. So I just go for a Rotom because I can take most of what he's going to do here. Stone Edge isn't going to be enough to 2KO me, so I'll be able to easily switch in and fire off either a Hydro Pump or a Wisp. And at this point, I'm thinking Wisp is probably my better option. He goes for the Earthquake here. Not sure if he just forgot I was Levitate, but that's really good for me. I just take advantage of that and go for the Wisp here to cripple his Tar. And so now this Tar is definitely not going to be able to beat me 1v1. So that's really, really good for me. Yeah, so now it's a matter of seeing what he's going to do, because I don't think he would go stay in here, which makes me want to Volt Switch. And so what I end up doing, yeah, so he's going to withdraw here and go into a Sableye, which I assume is his Mega, like just when I was fighting. So I switch out here with a, or actually no, I go for a Pain Split, which wasn't a bad call, but it wasn't like the best call. Normally I would be a little more concerned with, excuse me, I would be more concerned about Mega Sableye being able to do lots of stally things, but at this point I have a Coco, so I'm not terribly worried, and I believe it's Specs Coco too. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I just go for a Hydro Pump here, and unfortunately it's not going to be doing enough, so he's just going to recover off all this damage, which shows me that I'm at a zero-sum game for me, and that no matter what I do, I'm not going to be able to beat this thing 1v1. So what I do is I just go for the Volt Switch on this next turn, and that's just, you know, to do some damage. I was expecting some sort of Will-O-Wisp or another Recover, but I go right into my Mag. I think this is actually my Specs. I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't know my teams. I'm bad. But he just goes for another Recover, which is fine for me. This Magnezone doesn't really fear the Sableye much, I have to admit. And I just go right for a Thunderbolt. I believe it's Specs at this point, so that's going to do a lot to this Sableye. And he goes for a Calm Mind here. I don't know if he was thinking that he'd be able to live a hit from Mag. I mean, obviously he was, but this Magnezone definitely 2 HKOs it pretty significantly even after the boost. So now he's sort of forced to switch out into his Malamar, I believe. Yes. No, his Tyranitar again, just to get that special defense boost that is necessary for Tyranitars. And I'm just going to go for another Thunderbolt because playing it safe, playing it smart, playing it choice locked. I believe it's choice locked. Forgive me if it's not. But this Thunderbolt is going to do enough to definitely put it in another knockout range. So he's just going to go right for the Fire Punch here, which is fine. I do take it very nicely, so I just go for another Thunderbolt to flat out knock it out, and that is going to be the end of that Tyranitar. So yeah, that's really good. So he sends in his, his Malamar comes in here, and at this point I'm like, okay, here comes the superpowers, and I can definitely live at least one, and I know I outspeed it, so I'm just gonna go for Thunderbolt, and that's that. Threat neutralized, pretty straightforward. In comes Sableye. I mean, Magnezone is just ripping through this team, which is really, really good, and Sableye is gonna go down to Rocks. I don't know if, again, I think that was probably a misplay on his part, but what can you do? So, Hydreigon comes out, and at this point, like, I'm expecting a Fire Blast or a Superpower, but he actually goes for a Dark Pulse. I'm just staying in with Magnezone and doing as much damage as I can, because there's no reason to switch out, and I can just fire off Specs Thunderbolts against his entire team with very little to worry about. But he's actually red card, so in comes my Rotom. And, you know, I'm okay with this, actually. It's not the end of the world. I do know I can't live a Draco Meteor, though. And so I was thinking, okay, in the event he goes for Draco Meteor, I'm done for. But I stayed in, I guess. So I stay in, he goes for Dark Pulse, and my Iapapa Berry restores me, and I just go for the Wisp. I think I was just more or less planning on sacking this Rotom so I eventually go into my Koko, because Koko just wins, basically. Yeah. So, we're just sort of prolonging the inevitable here, it's kind of, and he goes for Dragon Pulse. I guess he didn't have Draco Meteor on this Hydreigon, which is a bit of a missed opportunity in my eyes, but at the same time, it's alright. I do end up living that, and I can go right for the Volt Switch into my Koko, and that's basically going to be it, because his, I mean, I can just go for a, I know I outspeed this naturally, and I know this Hydreigon's not Scarf, so I can easily just go click Dazzling Gleam here and win, or I can click Thunderbolt too. I go for the U-turn though, just for the heck of it, just to get a certain Mon in. I wanted to use really in this fight, even if it wasn't like the most advantageous to do so. So I sent in my Alola Raichu to get that last, you know, that shock, whatever, I don't even remember, is it a Surge Surfer, is it? I don't know. But I really just wanted to use it, and so I just go for a Thunderbolt here, and that will knock out the Mandibuzz like that. So after a few losses, I'm finally on the rebound. I get my second Elite Emblem, thank God. And yeah, it was a really good fight. I'm really happy with this Electric team, and I really like it a lot. It's such a good team. But yeah, that's going to be it for this. Good game. Heck yeah. Okay, so for this next fight, he actually chose my rock team, and he's a dragon leader, but what he did is, this coach, Mr. Coach K, he does VGC-style fights, where it was bring 6, pick 4 in doubles mode. And none of my rock team, I didn't realize that he was doubles, so I wasn't able to bring my rain double squad, so these rock mons are going to have to suffice for now. So I lead with my Nihilego and my Rhyperior, and he leads with Garchomp and Latios. I figure that Rhyperior is going to put in a ton of work, because it's got Ice Punch, and Nihilego's got Hidden Power Ice, so I can put stuff in, work in, if necessary. This Latios going for the Calm Mind is a little strange to me, just because I know in doubles, generally setting up doesn't really do much as well. Like, there's not as much time to do things. So this Nihilego is going to go for a Sludge Wave, which hits nice spread damage. Rhyperior is going to resist it, and it just does a nice amount to everything, to where I can go for an Ice Punch with Rhyperior if needed. And this Garchomp is going to go for the Levitate, or excuse me, not the Levitate, the Earthquake, and that's going to do a significant amount to both my Pokemon. My Nihilego is going to get knocked out, but I mean, I kind of expected that. So, Nihilego is more just to get some fast stuff off, but my Rhyperior, on the other hand, gets a nice weakness policy boost, so it's going to go right for the Ice Punch right on that Garchomp, and that's going to definitely knock it out. which is really nice because now I don't have to worry about the spread earthquakes as much anymore, which is good. So out comes Terrakion here. Not Terrakion, despite what some people might think it is, and and he sends in his Hydreigon, so that's really good for me, so I can just go right for a close combat onto this Hydreigon, because my Terrakion is actually Scarf, so down goes that Hydreigon, which is really good, and then this Latios here, once we get to the moves, it's going to go for a Psyshock onto the Terrakion, which is, you know, fine. I didn't expect it to live much after a close combat, especially up against a Latios. But this Rhyperior, on the other hand, is just going to go for a nice Ice Punch onto this Latios, and, I mean, that's going to go down really fast. So, Latios is down, and he only has one Mon left, and that will be his Charizard, what I assume to be a Charizard X, just because of the team itself. I should mention the other two Mons, he didn't bring Ragudra and Naganadel, so I sort of brought this stuff for Naganadel too, because I just know how big it is. Anyway, so out comes the Charizard X as expected, and I actually make a play here that could have ended really poorly for me. He goes for the Dragon Claw onto my Rhyperior, and I go for a Shell Smash on this Omastar, and the Rhyperior, I go for Earthquake, after I get my boosts, obviously. And, yeah, I go for an Earthquake. Had he attacked my Omastar, I would have definitely knocked out my own Omastar, which would have been really bad. But it ended up working out alright, because the Charizard does go down, and I do get my next Elite pin, which is really, really good for me. So now I'm at 3 Elites down, 1 to go, and we're going to be fighting off against someone familiar.